We are joined live in real time by Bucs GM Jason Licht, who's making the rounds. And Rand, do you want to start, or do you want me to start, or Pete to start? How do you want to do that?
Go ahead, you start. You go ahead and start.
All right,
and
so
then we'll work it in.
Jason, Rand and I do a podcast called With the First Pick, which is what we're doing right now, and we spend a lot of time, and this time of year it gets pretty bad because we're going to see the not the podcast, but the results of what we see this week in terms of guys' height, weight, arm length. The Buccaneers have a track record of drafting guys that don't fit the perfect mold, whether it's Antoine Winfield Jr., who's a fantastic player, Kalijah Kancey, Cody Mock, Tez Johnson last year, Jacob Parrish. What do you try to block out noise-wise when you try to find these players that maybe don't fit the mold of what teams might otherwise call perfect players?
Well, we've been just looking for good football players, and Rand can understand that. Try not to get too caught up in the size, the length, all those things, even the speed. For that matter, if a guy plays fast, he plays fast. So, but obviously those things are factors that you want to keep in mind. You don't want to all of a sudden wake up and have a small team. That can hurt you down the road too. But in the case of those players, I thought where we picked them, we had higher grades than where we actually selected them. So that's always been good for us. And had success with that. When it's the opposite, when you're reaching, sometimes most of the time it's not going to work out for you. So a good football player is what the goal is, to get good football players that help you win.
Yeah. So, Jason, I've known you for a very long time. I know this is probably stuff that you don't even keep up with, but do you realize you're one of the longest tenured GMs in the league? Has that hit you at any point yet?
Well, it hits you when you wake up and your back hurts and your knees and everything. I guess you realize that all of a sudden you wake up and I'm not sure where I rank. I think fifth or something like that, longest tenured.
Yeah, you're the fifth longest tenured GM, and I have the list here behind Mickey Loomis, who was hired in 2002, Howie Roseman and John Schneider, which were 2010, Les Snead in 12, and you in 14. So off of that, my question would be, you've had almost two different tenures, it feels like, right, with Tampa Bay. You had your run with B.A. and Brady, and you guys won Super Bowl 55. And then you hired Todd Bowles, and you guys have won the NFC South 3 of the last 5 years. How has your roster building changed from when you first became a GM?
I think we've done, we all evolve, and when you have the opportunity to stay on, and I'm grateful that I was. There was plenty of times I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. I think you start to realize that you need to mitigate risk a little bit more and more with these players and make sure that everybody is on the same page and everybody likes them. You don't realize just because I like the players, the GM, but everybody else is telling me this guy can't play, but I'm going to prove to them it's not going to work. I need to rely on everybody. I need to rely on the coaches. I need to rely on the scouts, obviously, who do a fantastic job for us. So I think just making it more of a collective decision has worked well for us.
Yeah.
How frustrating was it for you and the organization to deal with all those injuries last year? I mean, everything that possibly could have gone wrong almost seemingly did go wrong, starting with injuries in training camp and the offensive line all the way through to the end.
It was very, very tough, extremely tough. Like you said, it started in training camp. We had a young draft pick that we thought was really going to make a lot of noise this year in David Walker, and he went down. And then Kalijah went down, and those are two really good pressure players up front that kind of threw things off for us defensively. And then offensively, the different O-line combinations that we've had to deal with, and moving Graham Barton to left tackle and having kind of a revolving door at guard with the injuries, and then Luke at right tackle was out for pretty good amount of time too. So all of that, and then throw in our receivers that were injured, and then Bucky for 7 weeks. I mean, all of that, if you would have told me all that was going to happen at the beginning of the year, I'm not sure how I would have reacted. But we don't hide behind the injuries. I mean, there are some teams, San Francisco dealt with a lot of injuries, and they had a lot of success this year. So it's not the reason. We just need to do a better job of having more players that can step up, which our last year's draft class did a great job of doing that, but we just need to add more.
I want to talk to you about your thought process about the quarterback position, because we knew Baker didn't have the career he had until he got to Tampa Bay, and we saw Sam Darnold, of course, and Daniel Jones. Have you changed your thoughts about how to put your quarterback, young or old, in the best position for success? Because, as I mentioned, Baker really hit the ground running once he got to Tampa.
Yeah, that's been a topic of conversation a lot with, especially with the offensive coordinators that we've had to interview over the last few years, and we've interviewed a lot. And it's, the best way to keep the quarterback from having to make difficult plays and keeping the ball out of harm's way, making it as easy as possible. And the ones that have been successful with that have been the ones that we've had success with Baker.
So we're here in Indy. We're at the Combine. I'm not even going to ask you what number Combine this is for you. I'm not even going to do that to you, Jason. I don't want to do that to you.
31, I think.
31. 31st Combine. Pete, how many have you?
35, I think.
So 2 established, tenured Combine
That's
veterans.
a nice way of saying old. Yeah.
Combine veterans.
That's a good way of saying we're old.
Here. But the game has changed. And the game has evolved. And we're at a place now where a lot of teams just come here just for the interviews and feel like they get the most out of the interviews. What is your team's philosophy in terms of the Combine, and what is your approach to the Combine?
Yeah, we still bring a pretty good contingent of coaches. All of our scouts come for the interviews, and they do an amazing job with that. And I rely heavily on them and our coaches because I'm in and out of them due to other meetings that we have. But we put a lot of we love the interviews. It's not the end all be all. It's not the final stamp. It's just part of the piece, as you know, being a former GM and working in personnel for as long as you did. I just enjoy watching the workouts. I enjoy seeing the guys compete out there. I enjoy seeing if they our profile that we currently have on the player matches how they perform here. Once again, that's just a piece of it too. It's not the end all be all, but everybody has their own way of doing it. Sometimes, I'll be honest, with some of these players, it happens so fast out there on the field that when you get back to the office and watch the workouts on tape, you get a little bit more out of it. But I just kind of, I guess I'm old school and I enjoy being here.
You have free agency. You have a marquee name. One of your marquee names, Mike Evans, is a free agent. You said you're going to talk with his agent here at the Combine. Is that correct?
Yeah, but his agents, both of them, Derek and Darren, we have open line of communication. We talk often. We've been talking over the last few weeks. I've talked to Mike. It's open. It's all good. We've had a great relationship with him. But we'll talk again here. I'm not saying that that's going to make a deal happen or not. But everybody knows where everybody stands here, and Mike has earned the right to take some time to think about what his future is.
All right, one last thing, and I'm sort of curious. You talk about being old school. How much has not only the Combine but the experience of the draft process changed in terms of the players? Because we now know college players are NIL, leaving school every year, and has that changed in terms of the helping you evaluate these kids?
Well, I'll say this. I remember, and Pete, since you're my fellow old person here, one of the things we used to ask the players are, what are you going to do with your first paycheck? And, worried about how money's going to affect them. And that really isn't the case anymore. They already have a team of financial, supporters. They've already probably, some of them have made their first mistake already by blowing it on whatever. So that's one less thing that we have to worry about. The players in general seem to be more mature than they were. And that's been a good thing.
Jason Licht, Tampa Bay Buccaneers GM, thanks for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.